I think we should start with the today's program. Before we go to the specific session, I request, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. I request Naveed Mukhtar Ahmad Sahab to recite Quran Sharif before we start the program.
Am I audible, sir?
Naveed Mukhtar Sahab.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah,
Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम. हो
औज़ु
सके तो
बिल्लाहि-
वीडियो ऑन कर लीजिए if possible.
Okay. औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम. बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. लिल्लाहि मा फिस समावाति व मा फिल अर्ज़ व इन तुब्दू मा फी अनफुसिकुम औ तुख्फू युहासिबुकुमुल्लाह व यग़फिर लिमन यशा व युअज़्ज़िबु मन यशा वल्लाहु अला कुल्लि शैइन क़दीर. आमनु रसूलु बिमा उन्ज़िला इलैहि मिन रब्बिहि वल मुमिनून कुल्लु आमना बिल्लाहि वल मलाइकति व कुतुबिहि व रुसुलिहि ला नुफ़र्रिक़ु बैन अहदिन मिन रुसुलिहि क़ालू समीअना व आताना गुफ़राना रब्बना व इलैकल मसीर. ला युकल्लिफ़ुल्लाहु नफ़्सन इल्ला वसअहा कसबत व अलैहा मा कसबत रब्बना वला तुख़िज़ना इन नसीना अख़्ताना रब्बना वला तुहम्मिल अलैना इसरन कमा हमलता अलल लज़ीना मिन क़ब्लिना रब्बना वला तुहम्मिलना मा ला ताक़त लना बिहि वाफ़ु अन्ना वग़फ़िर लना वरहमना अंत मौलाना फंसुरना अलल क़ौमिल काफ़िरीन. सदक़ल्लाहुल अलीयुल अज़ीम. जज़ाकल्लाह.
Jazakallah khair, Naveed Sahab. Thank you very much. Now we shall start with today's session. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, who is most gracious and most merciful. Today's program is about to know what is a virus. We know that from almost past more than 1.5 years, one specific virus has put the whole humanity under stress, that is COVID-19. And we have observed that, even my personal observation, that before this, emergence of this SARS-CoV-2, before the information about medical information mainly in the social media was not that much. Only there used to be authentic messages sometimes. But as the emergence of this COVID, what has happened is the medical information, and especially most of the time unauthentic, have started floating. Various videos, various forward messages, and what is happening is, because of this, there is a lot of confusion among the people. Because see, for any knowledge, we have to have a basic, when we, for example, we can take this as an analogy. When we construct a building, first and foremost thing is the foundation. The more the foundation is stronger, then the building can be erected to as we want. But here what is happening is no foundation, nothing. Straightforward, people are going to terrace floor and penthouse. So because of this, what has happened is people are confused and people are becoming, a lot of misconceptions and myths are developing in the society. And the dangerous part of this is, what happens is, people, because of misconception, will not take right steps at the right time, what they have to take. That can result in disasters. That has happened. I myself have seen it. So inshallah, with this, in this program, I am just a MBBS graduate, a general practitioner. I am not a specialist. I don't have any MD or DM. With my little bit of knowledge, I have made an attempt to, explain what is an infectious disease, what is a viral disease, inshallah. Then second point, what this program is mainly dedicated to the women, the COVID victim widows. We know that in this recent past, because of this COVID, mainly in the wave 2, many women have lost their husbands. So this program is dedicated to COVID victim widows. And inshallah, BENFA Charitable Trust is planning to bring up a project to support these widows. Inshallah, we'll let you know about this in detail in future, inshallah. Now, coming to when we talk about any disease, anything for that matter, most important thing is we must know the history. The history, if we know properly, then we can have a proper knowledge of anything. If we want to have, we must go. See, there is a saying that if you look back one step behind, you can move forward 10 steps ahead. So history of anything is very important. So when we talk about history of medicine, it can be divided into two parts, that is ancient medicine and another is modern medicine. Ancient medicine is starting from the, iron, stone age till, up to the 19th century. Up to the start of 19th century. In prehistoric medicine, which dates, how they have studied the prehistoric medicine by the help of archaeological studies. The archaeological studies have shown that 8000 BC, 7000 BC, there are records of, medical practice. And they used to practice dentistry and other things also. But those days in prehistoric medicine, the main, the belief of the disease, the cause of disease, cause of any illness was due to evil spirits or due to the sin of the person. This was the ancient people used to believe. See, this is how they used to practice. They used to practice witchcraft, to remove the illness. And here you can see the archaeological studies have shown that the prehistoric skulls, there used to be, holes. They used to have burr holes by a process called trepanning. So these burr holes, they believe that those people in those time used to remove the spirits, the evil spirits, what is present in the body. So they had a belief that this was the treatment. That was their belief and that was the treatment. They used to make burr holes in the skull and remove the spirit out. This is how they used to treat. And this old, age-old belief of, disease due to sin, disease due to evil spirit, it continued. It continued for a longer period in the history of the world, unless the Mesopotamian civilization. Like we know that in the history of the world, there are very big, there are few very big civilizations which have contributed to the history of the world, in the development of the world. Among them, the first one what comes to our mind is Mesopotamian medicine. The geography of Mesopotamian, it was starting from Egypt, it goes to the Syria and Turkey and Iraq and Kuwait, modern. And this was the Mesopotamian. It's very old, about 3000 BC. So in this Mesopotamian medicine, of course, they also had, that belief that the disease is attributed. They used to attribute the disease due to the sin of a patient or due to evil spirits. But the major change, remarkable understanding what happened during Mesopotamian medicine is that their doctors, their physicians, they also understood side by side. They used to believe in this age-old theory. At the same time, they propose that may not be the sin or the evil spirits which cause the disease. There might be some other reasons also for the disease. So they used to, treat with the magic and witchcraft side by side. They used to practice, medicine like bandages, creams, pills, and herbal medicine. This is how it started. People started thinking of another. There might be another cause of the disease. Age old, thousands of years old belief what they had due to sin and due to will spirits or due to the wrath, anger of the god. This belief started coming down and people started thinking more. The next came is the great Egyptian civilization. We know that the greatest, the first established civilization in the world is Egyptian civilization. That was around 2000 BC. And Egyptian civilization has, contributed lots and lots to the medicine. How we know that they used to do this mummification. The mummification gave a knowledge of anatomy, gave a knowledge of structures of human body and all those things. Then Egyptians had a well-developed medical profession. And one of the famous physicians among them was Imhotep. Egyptian doctors were the first to make notes on their patients. As we do today, we try to have a medical records of the patients. We to go back and refer them. Same thing they did in 2000 BC. And they were able to go back to those notes and have studied them. Then their doctors were first to use the method of observation, examination, diagnosis, and treatment. What we do today, in today's practice, that's what we do. First, we do observation, take the history of the patient, examine the patient, then come to a conclusion, come to a diagnosis, then we treat patient. This thing was practiced in 2000 BC by Egyptians. This is how it has evolved. From that time, it has evolved. And as we have today, the medical, as the hospitals, Egyptians used to have houses of life at that time. And those houses of life were similar to the hospitals. They used to have well-established departments, department of ophthalmology, department of dentistry, department of surgery, so on and so forth. This was about the Egyptian civilization. After Egyptian civilization, the Indian medicine. Among the Indian medicine, Ayurveda, we know that. The meaning of Ayurveda is knowledge of life and longevity. This is the practice. It is a healthy lifestyle system that people in India have used for more than 5,000 years. Now, what is the basis? What is the basic theory of Ayurveda is, there is a theory called Tridosha theory. According to this theory, there are 5 eternal substances like space, air, fire, water, and earth. They combine together to form our human body. And the health is complete balance between these 5 eternal substances. And these 5 eternal substances form Tridoshas, 3 humors, Vata, Kapha, and Pitta. So these are the 3 humors in our body. The health is nothing but balance between these 3 doshas or these 3 humors. If there is any imbalance in these three humors, then the illness occurs. This is the approach of Ayurvedic medicine, and lots of herbal medicine, lots of herbal remedies are practiced in Ayurveda. Then when we talk about ancient medicine, we cannot forget the Chinese medicine. China has one of the world's oldest medical system. Acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicines date back at least 2000 years back. Its basic concept is that a vital force of life called QI surges through the body. Any imbalance to QI can cause disease and illness. The practice includes various forms of herbal medicine, acupuncture, cupping, moxibustion. Moxibustion is a process where they burn certain herbs and make the patient to take the fumes of that, and dietary therapy. So when you're talking about this ancient medicine, we should not forget one person called Hippocrates. He is known as the father of medicine. He was a Greek physician. Then came, during the Middle Ages, the Islamic time, where Tibbun Nabawi, the prophetic medicine, came. Prophetic medicine is the advice given by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with regard to sickness, treatment, and hygiene, and it is found in Hadith. And since then, Unani medicine of system came out as a alternative medicine,
Hamid joined.
which originated from the Greece. And there are a few names which should not. Excuse me, can you please mute yourself? And there are a few names which we should not forget when we're talking about the history of the medicine. Among them, one of the famous name is Abu Bakr Muhammad Zakaria Razi. He is famous, commonly known as Rhazes. He was a Persian polymath and physician, and he used to, it was the Razi, it was Rhazes who explained, before to that, we know that people used to think that all the diseases are due to one cause. All the diseases are due to one sin or due to some evil spirit or something like that. But it was Rhazes who explained that every disease has different causes. Every disease, mainly the contagious diseases, have a different causes of the disease. That's how he explained about that. Then came Abu Ali Sina, famous as Avicenna Ibn Sina. He is known as father of modern medicine, and he is the most significant physician who has given lots of it was he who gave the idea of modern medicine. We can watch this video.
Many centuries ago, there lived a Muslim polymath by the name of Ibn Sina. He was born in 980 AD and was arguably one of the most important doctors and philosophers of his time. Ibn Sina, or Avicenna, as he is referred to in English, was one of the smartest people of his time. So much so that he outsmarted all of his teachers, and finding a tutor for him was a very difficult task.
Hello, I am Ibn Sina, or as many will know me as Avicenna. I am the father of modern medicine. My work in medicine was mainly about the prevention of diseases, rather than the treatment, which is important in today's world. I left behind a lot of advice on the use of herbal medicine and biologically active points for various diseases.
By the age of 14, Ibn Sina had mastered many subjects and memorized the Quran. And at 16, he began to practice and learn about medicine. Although Ibn Sina learned a lot about law and natural sciences, his main talent was in medicine. At the age of 18, he famously cured a Samanid chief and was a master in the most important works in science. And by 20, he was one of the wisest people of his time.
This is how the modern medicine, started. They evolved, it got evolved. And the major breakthrough came when this person called Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, okay, he was a Dutch businessman. He was not at all a microbiologist, nor a physician, not a medical personnel. This person, he was a businessman in textiles. But see, sometimes as they say that hobbies, sometimes the hobbies of the people can become so useful. His hobby was to grind glasses and see minute particles through those glasses. See, this thing has earned him the title of father of microbiology. Even though he was not a microbiologist, he was not a medical personnel, he was not a physician, his hobby led him to, give him such a big, great title in the history of the world. And what happened for him, as he was doing this, he was grinding the glasses and watching, then to his own, he himself got astonished that when he was able to see some microorganisms through those grind glasses. That was the first discovery of microscope and microorganisms. From this discovery of Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, there was a major change in the whole history of the medicine, and whole, the whole concept got changed. How it got changed, you can learn from this video, that till then, till up to 1850, 1860, as the age-old theories of belief of the cause of diseases was coming from the evil spirits, from the sin, then people, regarded that there was one very popular, famous theory called as miasma theory. What is the meaning of miasma? In Latin, miasma means bad air or a pollution. So until 1850, the people had believed that whatever diseases happen, it happens due to bad air. There is a problem in the air, pollution in the air, that's why we are getting the disease. Even if it was a respiratory disease or gastrointestinal disease or dermatology, whatever. This was the strong belief of the people. But when that these pandemics are not new to the world. Even those days, we had big pandemics. One of the pandemic which we should not forget is the cholera. The cholera pandemic led us to understand that the microorganisms are the one which causes these diseases. Please watch this video, because here there is one person, one doctor by name Dr. John Snow. He was the pioneer. He was the one who broke this miasma theory, and he brought the germ theory of diseases.
What if I told you that all illnesses, things like the cold, the flu, strep throat, came from wandering clouds of poisonous vapor? You'd probably think that absurd. And don't worry, it's completely wrong. Yet that's actually what people thought caused diseases for several centuries. They called it miasma theory, and everyone from the public to the medical establishment accepted it. But by the 1840s, in the midst of devastating cholera outbreaks in London, a small group of scientists had grown skeptical. Early microscopes had revealed the existence of tiny microorganisms, and they proposed that it was actually these germs that caused diseases, hence the name germ theory. Though most people held on to their assumptions and strongly resisted this theory, its supporters were determined to prove them wrong by collecting compelling data. Leading the charge was a physician named Dr. John Snow. Dr. Snow observed that cholera-infected patients experienced severe vomiting and diarrhea, symptoms of the gut as opposed to the lungs, and thought that perhaps the disease was transmitted through food or drink, not the air. After investigating previous outbreaks, he became convinced that cholera was spread through contaminated water sources. Then, late in the summer of 1854, when cholera suddenly struck the Soho district, a neighborhood in London very close to his own, Dr. Snow was hot on its trail. He requested the records for the deceased, and within the first week, there had already been 83 deaths. He mapped out where each of the deceased had lived and found that 73 of them resided close to the water pump on Broad Street. Dr. Snow strongly recommended shutting down the pump, and because he knew how unpopular germ theory was, he suggested that cholera was spread through a poison in the water instead of microorganisms when presenting his case to governmental officials. They were unconvinced, but agreed to shut down the pump as an extra precaution. Almost immediately, new cases of infection subsided. Bolstered by his success, Dr. Snow was determined to connect the contaminated pump water to the disease. He found the story of a widow who had died of cholera and lived far away from Soho, but had a servant bring her water from the Broad Street pump daily because she liked the taste. He also discovered a workhouse located around the corner from the Broad Street pump that housed hundreds of people, but only a handful had become infected, which Dr. Snow attributed to the fact that the workhouse had its own private well. Finally, Dr. Snow heard of an infant who may have been one of the earliest victims of the outbreak. He learned that the child's dirty diapers had been thrown into a cesspool right next to the public water pump on Broad Street. Again, Dr. Snow presented his case, but even then, city officials spurned his theory. not wanting to admit that there was human waste in London's water supply, or that they were wrong about miasma theory, which was, after all, hundreds of years old. It wasn't until 1884 that Dr. Snow's efforts were vindicated by Dr. Robert Koch, who isolated the cholera-causing bacterium. Koch developed a technique to grow pure cultures, and through a series of experiments definitively proved that a specific bacterium directly caused disease. Major contributions to germ theory also came from prolific scientist Louis Pasteur, whose study of microorganisms led to the development of the first vaccines. By challenging assumptions with data-driven research, these scientists discredited an age-old theory and sparked a revolution that was incredibly beneficial to public health. But all of this raises the question, what are the widely held scientific beliefs of today that our descendants will find ridiculous? And as any scientist would tell you, a question is an excellent place to start.
Yeah. So after that, next, the name which we should never forget is Louis Pasteur. He was a French chemist and microbiologist. He is also known as father of bacteriology. Louis Pasteur, his contributions to the medical microbiology is enormous. And he is the one who showed us that established vaccination can be done, and boiling the milk or water prior to the consumption can reduce the infections. So even today we use this procedure called pasteurization. It's a process in which the food and milk and other things are treated with mild heat, usually less than 100 degrees, to eliminate the pathogens. So after Louis Pasteur, the medical microbiology, after this period, late 19th century and early 20th century, this was the period where the medical microbiology evolved as a established department. After this, lots and lots of developments happened in the field of medicine, mainly the surgeries. Before, the surgeries were not that, they used to perform surgeries, but the surgeries were not fruitful because they were not practicing the aseptic precautions. Once they learned this germ theory of disease, then the surgeons started practicing the aseptic precautions, due to which there was a lot of success in the surgeries. Now let us come to certain specific definitions and specific points. Definition of infection. An infection occurs when a microorganism enters a person's body and cause harm. This is what is infection. Any microorganism for that matter. Now, whenever an infectious agent or a microorganism enters in the body of a person, it has a very, very classical, pattern of a clinical disease. What happened? There are 5 stages, or you can call it as 5 phases of an infectious disease. Whenever an organism enters into the body, it undergoes these 5 phases, 5 stages. The first one is incubation period. What is this incubation period? Entry of microorganism. Whenever the microorganism enters into the body, to cause the infection or illness, the organism has to achieve a significant number. Until and unless it achieves the significant number, it cannot cause the disease. So this is the incubation period from entry till when it multiplies, when it replicates and becomes to a significant number. That is called incubation period. During this incubation period, there are no signs, no symptoms. Patient will not even know that he's been infected. Then next, after incubation period comes is the prodromal period. Prodromal period. In this, what happens? The number of microorganisms achieves the significant number. Now it has gained the capacity to cause the infection, cause the disease. So in this prodromal period, the patient will suffer the general signs and symptoms, like for example, fever, lethargy, weakness, agitation, sleep disturbances, mood swings of the moods. We may have a low level moods. These are certain general symptoms what every person will face during this prodromal period. After prodromal period comes the specific period of illness. In this specific period of illness, the person, apart from the general signs and symptoms, will also have the systemic, whichever system is involved, that systemic symptoms patient will have. For example, if it is a respiratory microorganism, patient will have cough, breathlessness, and cough, breathlessness. These are the symptoms which a patient will have due to respiratory. If it infects the gastrointestinal, patient may have nausea and vomiting. If it involves the skin, the dermatology, the patient may have the skin rashes. If it involves the eyes, patient will have redness of the eye called conjunctivitis. So depending on the system, whichever system the organism affects, the patient will have he will have general symptoms. With general symptoms, he'll have specific systemic symptoms. After this period of illness, what happens? By this time, even our immune systems get activated and start fighting back the microorganism. So then there will be a period of decline. So our immune system starts killing the organism, starts reducing the organism. So after the illness, the period of decline will come, where the symptoms, signs and symptoms will start, getting down, and patient will start feeling better and better. And the final stage, what it comes is the period of convalescence. Here, absolutely, patient will not have any kind of signs and symptoms, but he will have general weakness and general symptoms due to, as he has recovered from an illness, he will have. See, the most important point here, what we have to observe is, in all these 5 stages, starting from incubation period up to the end of the convalescence period, the patient, the infected person, will be able to transmit the organism to others. This is the very, very important point. So this is a classical presentation. As we know that every rule has an exception, and that is the rule, that apart from this classical presentation, there are certain things which can happen. That is, which we discussed was a clinical infection. There can be a subclinical infection. This subclinical infection is the one which is more dangerous than the clinical infection. छुपा हुआ रुस्तुम बोलते हैं ना, जिस छुपा हुआ रुस्तुम होता है ये subclinical infection. Clinical infection, people will come to know. The patient will have, as soon as he has signs and symptoms, he will take action. He will go to the doctor, he will get investigated, his diagnosis will be done, he will take treatment, so on and so forth. But what about this subclinical, chupa rustum? Subclinical infection, the patient is infected. There is a microorganism in his body, but he doesn't have any signs, any symptoms. This is more dangerous. This person will be transmitting the infectious agent to the other people in the society. This is what we have to keep in mind, and we have to be very, very careful about these subclinical infections. Then next, there is one more point called as latent infection. What is this latent infection? See, latent infection is, it can happen both in subclinical or clinical. Once the patient gets infected, the organism will remain dormant or inactive. It will be there, it will be live, but it will not grow, it will not replicate, it will be present in the body. The best example of these latent infections in today's world are tuberculosis in India. Tuberculosis is a very big latent infection in India. Human immunity, that is AIDS, human immunodeficiency virus. Even now they consider COVID-19 also has latent infection. So the organism remain dormant whenever there is a chance for him. Now, whenever the immune system comes down or something happens, this will start, it will blow up, it will multiply, it will replicate, and it will cause disease. This is latent infection. So these two, clinical infection is not that dangerous compared to these two infections. Now, what could be the usual complications of a viral disease? Depending on the type of the organism, usual complications what the people can have is acute bronchitis, dehydration, frequent life-threatening opportunistic infections, then ear infection, pneumonia, another big complication, secondary bacterial infection, seizures, shock, and coma. and sinusating and worsening of asthma. This could be the complication of an infectious disease. Now, what are the types of microorganisms? The types of microorganisms are viruses, protozoa, bacteria, algae, and fungi. These are the major microorganisms which are capable of causing disease in human beings. Not only human beings, they cause even in plants also, in other animals also. These are the three, definitions which we should, talk about. First is endemic. What is an endemic? See, endemic is constant present or usual presence of a disease within a given population. The best example of endemic is in India is tuberculosis. India is endemic for tuberculosis. Constantly, usually tuberculosis is present in India. Okay, whenever there is, some people will have immunity goes down or something, they will get the disease. Otherwise, there's no problem. But tuberculosis is present usually constantly in the given population or given area of the society. After endemic comes the epidemic. What is the epidemic? Epidemic is occurrence of the disease, excess than the normal. Suddenly the cases, what happened recently in wave 2, prior to, first there was wave 1, then came down, the cases came down. Again, somewhere in April, the case, wave 2, the cases spike was suddenly, sudden cases increased, especially in Bangalore only we saw. That is called as epidemic. And what is pandemic? When this epidemic occurs worldwide, all over the world, we call it a pandemic. Now let us talk about virology. Virology, scientific study of viruses. This name virus appeared in somewhere in 1599, and the meaning, the original meaning, it's a Latin word, meaning is venom or poison or poisonous secretions. And this is one picture, electron microscopic picture. It's a real picture, this picture. This is a real SARS-CoV-2 virus, coming out of the cell. It's a real picture, you can see here. And when we talk about virology, we should not forget two names. One is Dmitry Ivanovsky. This man is a Russian botanist, and we can say is the father of, he and one more person, they are the founders or father of virology. Before, there was one, lots of study was going on during this, late 19th and early 19th century, 20th century. There was believed that all the diseases are due to bacteria. So one person called Chamberlain, he had developed a filter, and this person, Ivanovsky, he was able to isolate the bacteria causing one disease called as tobacco mosaic. There was a disease called tobacco mosaic disease among the tobacco leaves due to a bacteria. He filtered out the bacteria from those leaves. But for his astonishment, he observed that despite removing the bacteria, but the disease is continuing. There is a disease. It's not stopping even if you remove the bacteria. So then he postulated, then he thought that there are some minuscule infectious agents or toxins which are capable of passing the filter and maybe being produced by the bacterium. This was the first thought of proper about the vaccine, about the virus. He said that not only bacteria, there is something else which is causing this disease. Then in 1898, Martinus Bejernik, he was a Dutch microbiologist. He continued with the experiment of Ivanovsky, and he did more filter from plant to plant and found that the disease, the infection was not coming under control. So then it was replicating, and he said that it may not be just a toxin. He called it as contagium vivum fluidium. This was the name he gave to the virus, or called living fluid. These two people are the founders of virology. Now virus. See, virus, the word, when we talk, they say that virus, organism at the edge of life. What does this mean? This statement, virus at the edge of life. Sorry, not able to, this, I don't know something. Yeah. Virus, this is why I'm stressing here is, this is a very, very important statement. Can you please mute your Norman bhai? Please mute your speaker, please. Yeah. See, again, let me go back. This virus organism at the edge of life. Norman bhai, please, Norman bhai, please mute yourself. Norman bhai. Norman bhai, please mute yourself. Yeah. Organism at the edge of life, virus. Now we are seeing that the challenge, treating the viral disease is a big challenge. It's not see, like for example, bacteria, big diseases of bacterial diseases like leprosy, tuberculosis, and so many cholera. They came under control. They were able to find out an antibiotic for that. Just one drug is enough to control the cholera. But why? What is making this virus so dangerous that the medical science, advanced medical science, is not able to control this? What is the reason? The reason is this statement: virus organisms at the edge of life. Why? Because see, viruses, neither they are living cells nor they are non-living. They are in between. This is the thing which makes more difficult to treat the viruses. Why we can't say them that they are not living organism? Because we know that to consider any organism as a living organism, it should have a proper cell. Whether it is eukaryote or prokaryote, there should be a cell. Single-celled or multicellular organisms, there should be a cell with a proper cell membrane, and some plants will also have cell walls also, proper cell membrane. Then there will be cytoplasm, then there will be a nucleus, and this cytoplasm will have cellular organelles which will have proper definitive functions, and nucleus will have both the RNA and DNA as the genetic information. Then only we can consider it as a life cell. But this virus does not have all these things. The virus does not have a cell membrane, it does not have a proper cytoplasm, it does not have proper cellular organelles, and even its nucleus does not have both DNA, or either it will have DNA or it will have RNA. So these things make it to say that it is non-living. At the same time, we cannot say it is non-living because it has the properties of life also. Because as soon as it enters into a cell, it has the capacity to replicate, to grow. These are the things which is making this virus more dangerous. To treat any disease compared to other organisms, it's very difficult to treat the viral diseases. A virus is a submicroscopic infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cell of an organism. This is a very important thing. Virus cannot survive outside the cells. Of course, it can survive for some time, maybe some hours or so, depending on the different viruses can live out in the ecosystem, in the environment. They can survive for some time, depending on their whatever type is. But if they have to be alive, they need a living cell. They can only survive inside a living cell. Then viruses infect all type of forms of life. All forms of life. They can, animals, plants, microorganisms, they infect even bacteria. There is a virus called bacteriophage which infects the bacteria. So these viruses are ye khula dushman hai. Sabke saath iski dushmani hai. Till now, about 9,000 viruses have been described in detail. 9,000 viruses species have been described in detail till date. Viruses are found in almost every ecosystem on Earth and are the most numerous type of biological entity. See, you can understand with this statement that सबसे ज्यादा, the maximum any organism in the ecosystem is the viruses. A virus either has a DNA or RNA. It will never have both. And depending on these two, we can, they are divided into either DNA viruses or RNA viruses. This is an overview of viral infections. Of course, it is time consuming. I shall not read all these things. Just for your observation, I have put this slide. You can just see these are the common viral infections which infect human being. Yes. Now let us come to another very, very important point when we talk about viruses. There is one term called mutation, genetic mutation. What happens in this mutation? Why these viruses becoming more and more dangerous day by day? Because they undergo mutation. They undergo genetic change by several mechanisms. There are two main mechanisms described so far in the medical science: antigenic drift and antigenic shift. We need not go into depth of them, but I will just try to explain what happens exactly in this genetic mutation. See, this is structure of DNA and this is structure of RNA. Here you can see that there are nucleobases. In DNA we find thymine, cytosine, adenosine, and guanine. And in RNA there is uracil, then cytosine, adenine, guanine. These are constant in both. See, here you can see there is pairing. Pairing of these nucleobases in the nucleotide sequence. This is a nucleotide sequence. There is a pairing, and this pairing is specific to a specific organism, specific virus. Anybody, even human being also, our genes will also have a specific pairing. So what happens is, when there is any problem or any change in this pairing, the virus mutate, means it will give rise to variant. This is the most dangerous part of the virus. Mutation, there is change in the nucleotide sequence, it gives rise to variants. And constantly they change. As we know that flu, Haemophilus influenza, flu, there is flu, common flu, then there is bird flu, there is swine flu, there is Spanish flu. What are these? But it is a flu, but they're different. It is because of the mutation. These are the variants. And recently in this COVID-19 also has produced variants. The WHO has classified the variants of the virus into three parts mainly, three types of variants: variant of interest, variant of concern, and variant of high consequences. So among this, the most dangerous one is variant of concern. What happens is, this variant of concern changes its characteristics. Recently, the variant which was found in India in wave 2, the difference between this variant and the wave 1 original virus was, the second variant, the transmissibility, it was getting transmitted very fast compared to the previous one. So these are the variants, and this is which makes the viral diseases more dangerous, variants of the viruses. And till date, in SARS-CoV-2 variants these are the variants. This first variant was found in United Kingdom, B.1.1.7, then B.1.351. This was found in South Africa, and P.1, this was found in Japan, but it came through the travelers who came from Brazil, who traveled to Japan from Brazil. Then B.1.427 and B.1.429, these two variants were first identified in California in February 2021. And this variant, B.1.617.2, this was found in India in December 2020, and in United States it was seen in March 2021. These are the SARS-CoV-2 variants till date. And this is the viruses classification of viruses depending on DNA and RNA. This is just for knowledge sake, I put this slide. And the viruses are also divided depending on the shapes. there are helical viruses, there are polyhedral viruses, and there are spherical viruses. Coronavirus comes under this category, spherical viruses. And there are complex viruses also, like bacteriophage I was talking. It has head and tail. So these are the types of viruses depending on their shapes. Now, let us watch this video. Till now, we have discussed so much about the viruses. In this video, they have explained in a very simple language about the viruses, the characteristics of virus. I hope and I wish, I hope that you people will enjoy this and you will like this, and this will help you to understand more about the viruses. Let us watch this video, Introduction to Virology.
Introduction to Virology. On my channel, I have talked about JC virus before, and we have compared it to JC Penny, just a mnemonic. Now, it's an introduction. So, let's get started. Some words of wisdom. The question is not whether the glass is half empty or half full, but whether the glass started out empty or started out full. We divide microbes or microorganisms to bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites. I know that the public refers to bacteria as bugs, but actually, technically, bugs are only parasites. They are a subgroup of parasites. First, what does virology mean? Ology means a study of, and vir is viruses, the study of viruses. Viruses are unique, unlike cells. So, what are cells? Cells can replicate independently, cells can make their own proteins, cells can produce energy, and cells can be seen by light microscopy. However, viruses are not cells. Why? They cannot replicate independently, they cannot make their own proteins, they cannot produce energy, they cannot be seen by light microscopy, only by an electron microscope. Also, viruses have neither a nucleus nor a cytoplasm. If you have watched my playlist on biology, I've told you about the 4 fundamental concepts of the cell theory. All living things are composed of cells. The cells are the basic functional units. Cells arise only from pre-existing cells. Viruses cannot do that. Cells carry genetic info in the form of DNA and RNA together. But what about me? Viruses are weird because they are not cells. Viruses are not living organisms. They are kind of in between living and non-living. They are, quote, at the edge of life, unquote. Why do you consider them non-living? Because they cannot replicate independently, they cannot make their own energy, let alone synthesize their own proteins. They lack cellular structures, they are small infectious agents discovered in 1892, they are transmitted via vectors, and they replicate very quickly. That's why we say go viral, no one says go bacterial. These viruses need to infect a cell of the host, and then it can replicate using your own cell as a DNA making machine, DNA or RNA, of course. For instance, HIV infects your T lymphocytes and uses the T lymphocytes' genetic material to make its own nucleic acid. We can compare between cells and viruses in a beautiful table. Cells, they replicate by mitosis or binary fission. Viruses do not do this. Cells have a cell membrane in every cell. But what about the cell wall? Yeah, some bacteria have a cell wall, some fungi. Yeah, I get it. However, all of them, like bacteria, fungi, parasites, have a cell membrane. And your human body, because you have cells. Viruses, they sometimes have an envelope, some of them, not all of them. In your cell, you have nuclear material, you have DNA and RNA at the same moment. But viruses either have DNA or RNA, not both, never ever. Cells, the proteins are many. In viruses, proteins are few. In cells, ribosomes are present. Viruses, ribosomes are absent, with only tiny exception, the arenavirus. And even the ribosomes in the arenavirus are non-functional, talking about misfortune. And then the mitochondria in your cells. If you're prokaryote, they're absent. If you're eukaryotes like you and me, present. Mitochondria are absent from viruses. In the cells, we have lots of enzymes, but viruses, the enzymes are few or non-existent. Look at this. It makes sense because the proteins are few, and since enzymes are proteins, enzymes are also few. It's called common sense. Viruses. As a virus, I have either DNA or RNA, but never both. I have protective protein coat surrounding my nucleic acid, and sometimes I have an envelope, depending on the type of the virus. Proteins are few, therefore enzymes are few. I have no nucleus, no cytoplasm. Ribosomes are absent, mitochondria are absent. I've told you before that viruses are either DNA or RNA. DNA includes 7 viruses, RNA include 15 viruses, and you can sing the song with Help Hippo. Check out his YouTube channel. If you remember mathematics, since and therefore, let's play that game. Since viruses cannot produce energy or make their own proteins, therefore they cannot replicate outside the cell. I'm alone, I cannot do anything. They have to be inside the host cell in order to replicate. Therefore, viruses are obligate intracellular parasites. But you told me that viruses are different from parasites. Yeah, quote unquote, it's as if they are parasites because they are obligate intracellular. And then when they infect your cell, they use your cell as a DNA making machine. DNA.
Okay, that was the introduction of virology. Hope you have enjoyed and got some knowledge benefit from that video. Now, when we're talking about virology, when we're talking about virus, definitely we cannot forget to discuss about immunology, because they are both connected, interconnected. Because we know that there are no proper treatment of viruses. Of course, there are some antiviral drugs for few viruses, but not all. But the mainstay of management, preventing the viral disease is nothing but the vaccination or immunization. So let us, discuss about few points about the immunology. What is immune system? Immune system is nothing but the defense system of everybody. Like every country will have defense system, like Navy, Air Force, and Army. Same way, every organism, including human being, whether it is plants, animals, or whatever, every organism will have an immune system, a defense system, which are categorized into two parts. One is innate immune system, another is acquired or adaptive. Innate, this is inborn, this is there from the beginning. But acquired and adaptive is very important. This the person will acquire during his lifetime. And when we talk about this acquired and adaptive, there are two types. One is humoral and other is anti-cell mediated components. So this humoral is, again, the antibodies are involved in this. And antigen, these two words we should never forget. Antigen, what is an antigen? An antigen is any substance which induces, which ignites the immune response in a body. This is the antigen. Antigen can be anything. Antigen can be a foreign body. Antigen can be a non-living thing. A pollen, pollen from the flowers, it can be an antigen. Dust can be an antigen. Or organisms, like bacteria can be an antigen. A virus can also be an antigen. Any foreign substance entering into our body, and it ignites, it induces the immune response, that is called antigen. What are antibodies? Antibodies are the proteins that neutralize the disease-causing microorganism. Antibodies do not directly kill the pathogen, but instead identify antigens as targets for destruction by other immune cells such as phagocytes and natural killer cells. Surface barriers, I will not go into the details, but the defense system, the immune system, from where it starts from the surface barriers. Like for example, in human beings, we have skin, starts from the skin. Then we have saliva, all the secretions, all our secretions, saliva, tears, our eye secretion, tears in the eyes. All these will have antibacterial and antiviral effect. This is the surface barrier. Then the major component of immune system, as I said, innate and adaptive. In this, the most important thing what we have to know is that in innate, there is no immunological memory. But whereas in adaptive immune system, this is what happens in vaccination. Once the person gets, this antigen specific it is, once it gets exposed to this antigen, it will produce antibodies and other memory cells. And these memory cells will stay in the body. In future, again, if the same antigen enters into the body, these immunological memory cells immediately attack that antigen and kill it. And one more thing, important point we have to remember is inflammation. When we are talking about the immunology, See, inflammation is one of the first responses of the immune system to harmful stimuli, whatever it may be. It may be infection, foreign body, whatever. There are 5 cardinal signs of inflammation. Whenever there is, for example, you take a stick and hit on your hand, you will see a red coloration, discoloration with slight swelling. This is the inflammation. This is the response of our body to any antigen, any harmful stimuli. So first there will be heat, then there will be pain, then there will be redness, swelling, and loss of function. They call it in Latin calor, dolor, rubor, tumor, and function loss. So this is inflammation. So causes can be any, it can be physical like burns, physical injury, frost, biological infection, pathogen, chemicals, irritants, toxins, stress, excitement, anything can cause inflammation. See here you can see this is a normal foot, this is an inflamed foot. You can see there is a swelling and there's a reddish discoloration, and this is the difference. This is the inflamed foot. These are the 5 cardinal signs of inflammation: pain, heat, redness, swelling, and loss of function. Now, coming to vaccination, immunization. This is a very important point. What we have to discuss here is the vaccination is not new to the world. In 15th century, in China, they used to practice this vaccination called as variolation to prevent this disease called smallpox. What they used to do in those times in China in 15th century, they used to take the scab of this smallpox patient, and they used to make the powder of the scab, mix it with musk, and they used to have small silver tubes, keep it in the nostrils of the person, normal person, and they used to blow this powder of the patient. So with this, what happens is the virus will enter into the body, and it will create it will ignite the immune system, and it will create the antibodies. So this is how the actual vaccination has originated from 15th century. Then even in India, mainly in Bengal, they used to practice this in somewhere in 19th century or 18th century. In 18th century, they used to practice. They call it as a tika. They used to apply this, inoculate the material from the smallpox infected person into the normal person, which will induce immune response. So this is the history of vaccination, how vaccination has evolved from 15th century until date. And it was Edward Jenner in 1796 who developed a much safer method using cowpox to successfully immunize a young boy against smallpox vaccine. This is how the vaccines evolved in the history. So this is one small video to make us understand what is immunization. Please watch this video, and I hope it will be helpful and useful to you.
Immunization is the process of becoming immune to or protected against a disease, usually by receiving a vaccine. Vaccines stimulate your immune system to protect you from certain diseases, so you won't get sick or get an infection. Normally, the organs and cells of your immune system defend your body from harmful germs, such as bacteria and viruses.
Immune cells are constant. Immunization is the process of becoming immune to or protected against a disease, usually by receiving a vaccine. Vaccines stimulate your immune system to protect you from certain diseases, so you won't get sick or get an infection. Normally, the organs and cells of your immune system defend your body from harmful germs, such as bacteria and viruses. Immune cells are constantly circulating through your body. They monitor certain substances on the surfaces of cells called antigens. Healthy cells have different antigens than diseased body cells or foreign invaders in the body.
Immune cells usually ignore the antigens on healthy cells. But when immune cells come across antigens on germs, they destroy the germ. Afterward, the immune cell displays the germ's antigen on its surface. This activates other types of immune cells to help get rid of the infection. For example, some activated immune cells recognize the antigen on infected body cells and then destroy them. Other activated immune cells, called plasma cells, make molecules called antibodies. These antibodies travel through your body and lock on only to germs that have its specific antigen. This marks the germ for destruction. Then, other immune cells attack the germs that have these antibodies. Once the infection is gone, some of the immune cells that were exposed to the antigen become memory immune cells. In the future, if the same type of germ infects your body again, the memory immune cells will be ready to destroy it so you don't get sick. This is called natural immunity. In many cases, it will last your whole lifetime. The problem with getting natural immunity from having the disease itself is that some naturally acquired infections can cause serious complications, or may even be deadly. For example, polio can result in permanent paralysis or death. Measles can cause swelling of the brain, resulting in permanent brain damage or death, especially in children under age 5. And whooping cough, also known as pertussis, can cause complications such as pneumonia, slowed or stopped breathing, and death, especially in babies under 1 year of age. While symptoms may not be severe in all people, it's not possible to know who will be affected enough to become very ill or even die. Vaccines can protect you from getting these diseases and their harmful symptoms. Vaccines often contain a small amount of weakened or killed germs, but some contain genetic material, such as RNA or DNA, that provide instructions for your body's own cells to make the germ's antigen. Usually, you receive a vaccine as a shot. Inside your body, the germ particles in the vaccine teach your immune cells to attack these germs. This process doesn't make you sick, but it does cause your body to make memory cells and antibodies for those germs. As a result, if that germ infects your body later in life, your immune system is ready to fight the infection so that you don't get sick. The main types of vaccines include live attenuated vaccines, inactivated vaccines, toxoid vaccines, subunit and conjugate vaccines, mRNA vaccines, and viral vector vaccines. Live attenuated vaccines use alive but weakened germs. They're most like a natural infection and provide a strong disease immunity. Examples are the measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and flu nasal spray vaccines. Inactivated vaccines use inactive or killed germs. You may need several doses or booster shots over time. Examples are the hepatitis A, flu, polio, and rabies vaccines. Toxoid vaccines protect against harmful substances made by germs called toxins. They use weakened versions of the toxins, called toxoids. You may need booster shots to maintain protection against diseases. Examples are the diphtheria and tetanus parts of the DTaP vaccine. Subunit and conjugate vaccines use only a specific part of a germ. They provide strong immunity to that key part of the germ. These vaccines may also require booster shots. Examples are the pertussis part of the DTaP vaccine and the hepatitis B vaccine. Instead of using germs or toxins, mRNA vaccines contain a special type of RNA called messenger RNA, or mRNA. mRNA instructs your cells to make the germ's antigen, which triggers an immune response. These vaccines do not carry live virus and do not change your DNA. Examples are certain COVID-19 vaccines. Viral vector vaccines may use either DNA or mRNA to provide cells with instructions to make a germ's antigen. The genetic material is wrapped in a different, safe virus to take the instructions into your cells. These vaccines do not change your DNA. Examples are certain COVID-19 vaccines. It's important to know that vaccines not only protect you, but your community as well. Many diseases that vaccines prevent are spread from person to person. When only a few people in your community are vaccinated, the risk of a disease outbreak is high. But if most people are vaccinated, it's much less likely for a disease to spread. This is called community or herd immunity. Herd immunity is especially important to protect people who can't be vaccinated. This includes people with weakened immune systems, serious allergies, or other health conditions. Vaccines protect you, your family, and your community from diseases that can be dangerous or even deadly. To find out more about vaccines, talk to your healthcare provider.
Thank you very much for being with us. And what could be the take-home message is, first thing is, think happy and be happy. That's more important, and especially during when you are under stress, and especially when you have a disease, and especially like COVID. Right now, I am COVID positive. The person who is talking to you is COVID positive. I am a COVID positive patient right now and talking to you. Be happy. That's very, very important. It makes a lot of, being happy will act as a immunobuster. There are some hormones in our body called as endorphins, which are released. That's another topic. I don't want to go into depth of that. So being happy during the stress, especially during the disease, is very important. And apart from that, as usual, these are again the age old, during the what is coming from the old, stone age till today. Wash your hands. Soap is the best remedy. Soap is the best remedy for these viruses. Keep washing your hands with soap and water as and when it is possible. Okay, and when you're washing, at least see to it that the soap will stay on your hands more than 20 to 30, at least 30 seconds, Get vaccinated, stay home when you're ill, prepare food safely, also promptly refrigerate leftovers. Do not share personal items, travel wisely. Jazakallah khair. Akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Our first and last invocation is all the praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Lord of the worlds. Thank you very much. And I hope it was a useful session. If there are any questions, I would like to, I will try my level best to answer them if possible. Or if there are few more doctors in this session, in this conference, in this webinar, I request them that if they want to add on any information, or if they want to, say something, they can please come forward and tell. Anybody? I saw one hand raised by Zafar Bhai, I think. Zafar Bhai, did you raise the hand?
Alaikum, Dr. Saab. Yes, very much.
Alaikum salam.
I did, in fact. I had two questions to be asked. Is it allowed at this point?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. The first thing is I wanted to know is how did the virus get their names? And the second question is what is the difference between virus and bacteria?
Yeah. What is the first question, Zafar Bhai? How did the virus
get their names?
Names, general name virus or specific names?
Like, this COVID and all that other viruses, generally which are getting erupted and which have got erupted earlier as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
on what basis are these? Is there anything very particular in, or is it just because on the scientific terms?
Yeah. See, the names of the viruses is not based on the scientific terms. Depending on the, like for example, I can give you one virus which causes AIDS. Understand that we know that it is HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. You might have heard about it. So that because that virus causes, it attacks the immunity of the person. Understand? It reduces the immunity of the human being. That's how they named it. Human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Okay. And the disease which they named it was acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This is the one thing. Now this SARS-CoV name, how it has come, you know that in 2003, see this coronavirus, there are other viruses, as I think I should go back to that slide. Sorry, let us go back to the slide that. Yeah, you can see in this slide that mainly the viruses, basically they are classified depending on their structures, their shapes. Helical viruses, these are the viruses. There are certain viruses which have polyhedral viruses, then spherical. And the coronavirus, let us talk about coronavirus. How did the name corona came means, in Latin, the meaning of corona is crown. And this coronavirus, they have these spikes on them, which gives them a shape of crown. That's why they are called as coronavirus or crown. So this is how there is no actual scientific, something basis to name the viruses. And what is this SARS?
You mean to say it is based on the genetical?
Sorry?
Genetical structure of the virus?
No,
you mean
no,
to say it is based on the genetical structure of the virus?
No, some viruses based on the genetic, some viruses based on the shape. That's how it is very ramp. What I can say is it is not in a systemic manner. And like how this SARS-CoV name came in 2003, that they found that some coronavirus which was able to cause severe respiratory distress syndrome, acute distress syndrome. That's how they named it, SARS, S-A-R-S. Then this virus, one of the variant of this virus was more common in Middle East. So they named it as MERS-CoV, that is Middle East, this SARS-CoV. This is how they have named the viruses. There is no actual proper system, nomenclature of the viruses. This is what is my understanding.
Yeah, this is Kunigal Khanam. Just to add to that, it's like, some of the flus that came, the viral infections they were more prevalent in Mexico. They were called Spanish flu, if you have heard of that. So, and West Nile, and based on the location where they found those, the first infections, they kind of named it. So it's sometimes it's the places where they came from. Sometimes it's just the virus shape of the virus, like Dr. Suhail was saying. So they don't have any particular. The coronavirus SARS was severe acute respiratory syndrome. So that's how it came. And corona is like the shape of the, the way the shape is. It's like a crown. So that's how it is. So thank you.
Is it clear, Zafar bhai, your first question?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair.
What was your second question?
My second question was, what is the difference between a virus and a bacteria?
Yeah. See, bacteria is a well-defined living organism. Bacteria has proper cell. It has cell membrane. Then in the cell membrane, it has cytoplasm. Then in cytoplasm, it has a nucleus. In that cytoplasm, it has cellular organelles like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, other which have specific functions. And the nucleus of the bacteria has both DNA and RNA. So which makes this, even though it's an unicellular organism, bacteria, but it is complete life. and it has the capacity to replicate, replicate on its own, reproduce on its own, like binary fission. There are many ways it can produce by itself. And bacteria is not dependent on others. It is, sir, वो खुददार है, ऐसा कह सकते हैं. It is on its own. It can do things on its own. It can produce energy on its own. Whereas virus, as I told you, that it is at the edge of life. Virus does not have life. Why? Because virus does not have a proper cell with cell membrane and cytoplasm and nucleus and cellular organelles. Does not have virus. And virus cannot do anything on its own. If it has to do anything, it depends on the other cells. It has to enter into other cell, then only it can replicate, then only it can reproduce, then only it can survive, then only it can live. Is it clear, Zafar bhai?
Yeah, it's clear. Alhamdulillah. So you mean to say the bacteria is the first phase and then the virus? Is it like this something? Because you say virus does not have a life. So how does it enter then?
Yeah, I did not say did not have. See, I told you it's at the edge of the life. We cannot say them it is not living nor it is non-living. Did you get the point, Zafar bhai?
Yeah, got it. Got it.
So they are neither living nor non-living. They are living. Why? Because they have in their nucleus, they have a genetic information, either DNA or RNA, which enters into the other cells, and once it enters into the other cell, it makes it as a machine. It uses it at the other cell, and it can replicate, into many numbers. Anything, Dr. Khalida, you want to add on this question?
Oh, no, I think you explained it very well. That's exactly what the difference between virus and bacteria is. And definitely because the bacteria has specific shape and we know exactly what it is, we can kill it with specific antibiotics. But whereas virus, we don't know. So that's why we have all this craziness, is because we don't know exactly what this thing is. We are thinking maybe, like, for example, people are running after remdesivir. It's not like we know that for sure that's the line of treatment. So, but we think that some of them were hospitalized for less time because of remdesivir. So we are like trying to give that. And those are all emergency approved medications. So, but your take home message should be, please get vaccinated. Don't listen to any WhatsApp messages. Vaccines work. We all have been vaccinated. With my family, I have extended family that I have been pushing everybody. So vaccines do help. Do not think they're giving saline. Some people are saying, oh, they're putting microchip in that. Nothing like that. Please do get vaccinated. Thank you, Dr. Suhail. This was very informative. In fact, we get carried away with our practice. We don't go back to the basics. This was a very good review session for me personally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, continuing to your words, I would say that, see, you are seeing me right now, okay? See, I am COVID positive. There is COVID, SARS-CoV-2 in my blood right now. But you can see me how I am. I'm talking. I don't know, Allah knows better. I contribute my condition to the vaccine. Because I was already vaccinated, I had taken vaccine. So maybe that is the thing which did not make me more ill, or I did not have much symptoms. This is how I contribute. So if you ask me personally, yes, vaccine is very helpful. Even if you get infected after vaccine, you can see me. No symptoms, I'm happy, alhamdulillah. From day one till now, I did not have any symptoms or anything. This I contribute, my personal contribution is to the vaccine. Apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy on me, and I give the what you call credit to the vaccine. Now, Maqsood Saab has raised that hand.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. It was a good presentation. Just I want to ask you, can you highlight something on this black, white, and yellow fungus? First question. Second thing is whether we have to take any test before going for vaccination, because people have few doubts about there's some tests they have to undergo before taking vaccination.
Okay. See, first question, Dr. Khalida will answer. Second question, I can answer you. Because see, there is vaccination. For vaccination, there is no need of any test or anything. Please go and get vaccinated. That's all. No other second thought about it. कोई किसी चीज की जरूरत नहीं है.
No, people who have chronic diseases, even for them it is same.
Yeah, in fact, this is what the doctors are saying, that the people who have comorbidities like chronic diseases like diabetes and other problems, they should take the vaccine before the normal people. Did you get the point, Maqsood Saab?
Yes, yes. No, they will take the vaccination. Whether they have to undergo any test, I'm asking.
No need of any test. As far as I know, no need of any test. Even if they have any other chronic illnesses, just go and take the vaccine.
Okay,
and first question about the funguses, I request Dr. Khalida to explain about it.
Thank you. I'm not infectious disease physician, so I'll try to make it as simple as possible, but I might not know. I'm not very knowledgeable in infectious diseases because that's not my area of practice. So this is the fungus, the fungi. They are all in there, everywhere. We breathe, we do whatever. It's there. They are opportunistic. That means they will thrive on things like if they see that immune system has come down, or in a diabetic patient, their sugar levels are not controlled, then they go attack those and they get them. They get. So that is what it is. But when we breathe, there is something called cilia. They are like tentacles. They are kind of stopping all the bad air that's going, all the dust, pollution, everything. So the things I hear in India, from day one, let's start taking steam inhalation for 5-6 times a day because that's going to go kill the virus in your throat, in your nose and all that. No, actually, you're really killing those cilia. They are you're like destroying the cilia, which is going to trap those. So then it's easy for them to get in and then start attacking. So this is it. Normally we breathe all this fungi. It's all in the air, but opportunistic infections. Now with COVID, when people have COVID, their immune system is already low. So this becomes an opportunistic infection. This is a super infection over your COVID infection. It's a fungal infection. It's not bacteria. It's not virus. It's a fungal infection. So, and they are good. They love sugar. They love sugar. So they multiply and they live on sugar. So diabetics, my one message for the diabetics is make sure it's not just get up in the morning and you do a prick and it says, 90, I'm good. I can eat a banana. I can eat meetha and I can do all that. No. Every 3 months, please do hemoglobin A1C test because that is specific to your diabetic. Diabetes is not a disease. It's a condition. And you can control and live forever and ever without any problems. But if you don't control, I lost a sister-in-law. My cousin's wife passed away. She was 43, unfortunate. And she, because of pandemic, she never went and got herself tested, never got when she got COVID infection, her hemoglobin A1C was like somewhere 7.9 something. And unfortunately, because of that, she lost her life. And vaccination is a must for diabetics, heart problems, anyone. That is more important, like Dr. Suhail was saying. These are the people who have other comorbidities who need the vaccines. So fungal infections also, black fungus, yellow, they are all named based on what color, what do you say, the ulcer is. So I'm not really very knowledgeable about that. Like I said, I apologize. I should have read it up at least for informing. But anyway, I was caught off guard. So, but I'll be happy to answer. My phone number is there if anyone wants to reach out to me personally, because from the last meeting, I have had some questions, very, very good questions, and I have answered them to the fullest of my knowledge, and they've been convinced. So please reach out to me. I'll be happy. If I don't know, I have my coworkers, pulmonologists and infectious disease physicians and everybody. So I can always reach out and find out, because that's my job for India. I have signed up to help people in India during this crisis. I'm sure Dr. Suhail also, he's doing an awesome job. I mean, by having this platform for some of us to kind of give our knowledge to people. And today, especially, the presentation was A1, and I'm very thankful that I joined. My sister is also on the call, and she was the one who reminded me, because my time zone, your time zone doesn't match. So please be careful. Do not ignore vaccines. Do not ignore vaccines. They do help. Yesterday, I was listening to Dr. Devi Shetty from Narayan Rudalaya. He was saying in his practice, in his hospital, there were 700 cases of COVID admitted. Those who were vaccinated did not need oxygen, were not admitted in the ICU, and they were just symptomatic treatment and they went home. So vaccines, that means work. And he would not lie. I would take his word. He would not lie about it. And he said in his hospital what has happened. So please, my request is, humble request for our community is, please do get vaccinated as soon as possible, and do not listen to the WhatsApp messages. And if you need help, ask the professionals. You have access to Dr. Suhail. You have access to some of us. We can always be there for you guys. And even if, and also if you are COVID positive, it's not a bad disease. It's a viral infection. It's like any respiratory infections. Please get help as soon as possible. Not wait till your oxygen level is gone down to 40. And then you blame the doctors for not taking care. And, so please do go early, get treated early, talk to the professionals. Don't listen to, grandma and grandpa at home who say, oh, you should not be telling anyone that you have a fever because it'll be COVID. It might not be COVID. It might be common cold, but let's get that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khalida. Any other question? Anybody has to say anything? और किसी को कुछ कहना है? खदीर साहब को कुछ कहना है?
अभी मैं आया हॉस्पिटल से, जज़ाकल्लाह खैर। मैं कुछ अभी ये सब अल्लाह ताला इसको कबूल करे और सबको अल्लाह
आमीन।
और डॉक्टर साहब, डॉक्टर सलीम मेकरी साहब, डॉक्टर सलीम मेकरी साहब हैं आप? Anybody else? डॉक्टर अंसर? हाँ बोलिए खदीर साहब, कुछ कहना है आपको?
मैं सब भाइयों से, अभी जितने भी यहाँ पे 30+ कुछ ज्वाइन है, 1 to 1 आगे इस मैसेज को फॉरवर्ड करें, जो भी आप सुने हैं, जो भी ये हैं, एजुकेट, क्योंकि मेन हमें प्रिवेंटिव तरफ जाना है और एजुकेट करना है हमारे कम्युनिटी को। जिस तरह अभी डॉक्टर साहिबा ने जो यूएसए से कह रहे थे, इसी तरह से ये, क्योंकि हम जो सुन के खामोश बैठना नहीं चाहिए। जितने भी लोग यहाँ पे पार्टिसिपेट हुए हैं, ये आगे तक 1 to 1, 1 से 40, 40 से 80 इस तरह से बात पहुंचाएंगे तो अल्लाह ताला इसका बहुत कामयाब रहेगा और बहुत सहूलत होगी, बहुत मुफीद रहेगा हमारे कम्युनिटी के लिए। क्योंकि एजुकेट करना और इसको प्रिवेंटिव तरफ जानना बहुत ठीक है। जो क्राइसिस जो आने के बाद जो ट्रीटमेंट के लिए अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह यहाँ जस्ट वी हैव टू वर्क to prevent to side.
Yes. Absolutely. बहुत बहुत खूब. सही बात कही आपने कि we have to move this message forward. People are already scared कि third wave आ रहा है, ये आ रहा है, बच्चों को infect. We can stop it. We can actually stop it. Each one of us. And I was messaging one of the participants here, and I said, you need to tell your extended family to get vaccinated, and if need be, ask me. I can reach out. He said there were elderly people who were not listening, especially the ladies. I said, please tell me. I can reach out. I can make time. I have signed up to help India in crisis, so I will do whatever I can in my this thing. If they need articles to read, and I can send them, and whatever we can do.
Mansoor Bhai has raised hand. Mansoor Bhai? Mansoor Bhai, please unmute yourself. Mansoor Bhai, can you hear me? You have raised your hand. Mansoor Bhai?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dr. Saab, I have a question. Can somebody trying to conceive take the vaccination? And one more thing is the gynecologist is objecting taking the vaccination if you're planning for conceiving. How far he's true? And I get confusing replies from multiple gynaes. Where some says no, some say yes. So what is the correct? What is the correct? What do you say? What is the correct?
I leave this question to Dr. Naila. She will answer this question.
Objecting.
Yes.
From multiple gynaes, where some say no, some say yes. So what is the correct?
So, can you please just specify your question, because we were not able to hear you properly.
Me?
Yeah.
My question was, can somebody planning to conceive take vaccination? As I get a feedback from 2-3 gynacs where one says yes, one says no. So what is the correct?
Okay.
What is the correct thing? Should it be taken or not taken if you are planning to conceive?
Dr. Naila can answer this question. The question, I repeat, is that if somebody is planning to conceive, can they take the vaccine or not?
Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Naila. Yes, regarding the vaccine, if you're planning to conceive, if you can wait for at least 2 months after the vaccination would be better. But even if not, it's fine. Vaccination, as of now, there are no specific studies saying that it is harmful. So you can go ahead with it.
Okay.
But if you are very
fine.
particular and you want to wait, at least 2 months would be a good option.
Okay. I mean, wait for taking the vaccination or
conceiving after the vaccination.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.
Anybody has any question?
Dr. Saab, again, Maqsood.
बोलिए Maqsood साहब, बोलिए.
This vaccination is effective for 1 year. That means in future we have to take every year, or how it could be?
I think Dr. Khalida should answer this question.
Right now we don't have, but there are studies going on. We might need a booster dose It might be like how we take the flu vaccine every year. It might become, but we still don't have any data that's saying we need a booster dose, we don't need a booster dose. So there are studies going on. As soon as we find out, I'll definitely try to post that on the group. So if we get any data from the studies. So right now we don't know. We need those 2 doses. We need to take those. So right now we don't have, but studies going on.
खड़ जरा मैं चेंज करना.
Yeah. Is it clear, Maqsood Sab?
Thank you, Dr. Sab. Yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
thank you.
the actual thing is, see, यहाँ पे बात क्या है कि एक जनरल बात कि देखिए कोई भी नॉलेज जैसा चीज पुरानी होगी ऐसा जो है ना स्टडीज होंगे, ट्रायल्स होंगे, यू नो, देयर विल बी इंफॉर्मेशन. बट दिस डिसीज इज वेरी न्यू, है ना, मे बी 1.5 year. तो इसके अंदर getting the, you know, having the studies and, you know, have more information, I think we'll have to wait for some more time to get more information on all these things. Is
right.
It's
yeah, it's like, you know, March 2020, we didn't even know what this novel virus was, but now we have learned so much about it and we already have vaccine. And another thing I want to tell you is, because that was another question posted to me, was this vaccine, they say vaccines to develop vaccines, they take years and years. How come it was in a few months? Well, the technology was already there. Technology called mRNA, that was already developed years. It took 10-12 years to develop that. That was already there. All they had to do is make sure that that would be effective for this virus. So it would go and trigger the immune system in the person, and then it would form those particular antigens, and then these antibodies could go and trap those. So that technology was already there. So don't get misled by saying, oh, this was done in a hurry, so it might not be the right thing.
Also, Dr. Sohail Saab, in India, the people are worried about the genuinity of the vaccine. It's duplicate or real, you know, they saw some clips in WhatsApp. They are also worried about the genuinity of the vaccination. And some people are waiting for Pfizer only. They are thinking that in India also they will get Pfizer vaccination. It will be available soon. Do you have any idea?
Dr. Salim Mekri Saab should answer this question. Dr. Salim Mekri Saab?
I think he is not available. You called him also before.
Yeah, he was there. He's still there. I don't know. Because इंडिया के हालात तो जो इंडिया में वही बता सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल नहीं, थोड़े लोग नहीं ले रहे हैं, हमारे खुद फैमिली में नहीं ले रहे हैं थोड़े लोग.
अच्छा, देखिए साहब, Dr. Khalida, do you have anything to say regarding this question?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
Question about the genuinity about the vaccination, it's real or duplicate. Really, some people,
this is all rumor spread.
Some people after taking vaccination also passed away, though they were healthy. So they doubt about the vaccination, not one or two. There are many people who passed away.
Okay, so it also, now many people, I do not believe that it was because of the vaccine.
Maybe 10, 15.
Yeah, that's like handful. Okay, so the handful, this is the thing. When you get the vaccine, it doesn't right away protect you. Okay, it takes time for the immune system to respond to the vaccination and antibodies to be formed. It takes time. Okay, so in that time, you probably were exposed. They went and took the vaccine today. Okay, a week ago, they were exposed to COVID. And they're still not protected because of the vaccine. So what happened is that infection carried on. There was a positivity. The person was positive, ended up in the hospital. The vaccine has not kicked in yet. So that person could have died because of that. So that is the thing. This is, you got to understand. I am so glad that we are doing these educational sessions, because we need to understand the way the vaccine works. People think today I take the medicine in a few minutes. Like sometimes, I mean, even here, I have patients who say, well, you gave me the medication and I still have this problem. But the thing is, it has to take some time. You got to give couple of doses. You got to give time. So that is, like Dr. Suhail explained that, various stages of infection. So that is, we don't know where that person was in that infection period. He probably was at the incubation period and then got the vaccine, but that virus was still working and we made it through to all his organs, whatever. So that probably is what killed a few of these people. And then rumors spread, vaccine lene ke baad unka intiqal ho gaya. No, it's not because of the vaccine. So we need to clarify that.
No, what we heard was even they had enough time. For example, after taking double dose, the enough time has been passed. For example, after 2-3 months. We don't know the reality. We have not done a reality check, but still, few genuine people say those cases.
So, sir, rumors and hearsay. This is, we cannot help. We are human beings. We listen to someone, we think, oh, that's the truth, that's the gospel truth, we are going to go with that. And those kind of people we cannot help, because they were fine. I mean, somebody had diabetes, they told me that they were healthy, everything was fine. Then you dig into their medical history, you find out, well, this was the thing, they had this problem, they had couple of they had some congenital heart issues, and these kind of things we'll find out. But yeah, somebody will just say he died of COVID and kal wo vaccine leke aaya tha, but 2 weeks 3 weeks passed, but then he died. Well, we don't know what exactly. So we start thinking of all these things, like everything now, all the deaths are focused on COVID. They died because of COVID. They died because I know in my extended family there was a death of, because she had cancer and she was in remission, and then she went back into it and then she died of that, but no COVID. But then somebody says, oh, she died because of COVID. I'm like, no, she did not die because of COVID. Her COVID test was negative. It was because of her breast cancer that had gone into every organ. So this is the thing. What I think you guys should avoid is listening to that and saying, like you said, many people died. Then when I questioned, it was few people died. So these are the things. One person dies, they say, oh, many people died because of that.
No, I mean, sorry to interrupt you. No, some people, they have a strong feeling that they don't want to take vaccination. They are giving all
that is our duty now.
And also,
it's your duty and my duty to teach them.
Yeah, the vaccination doesn't work for the new variants. They say, I don't know. And
no, sir.
You don't know the situation in India. The vaccination are not original and so on. You know the stories in India, how the people.
And if we are waiting for Pfizer, let me tell you, Pfizer is as effective as any other vaccine, just because of the name or where it's coming from. And let's not run to that Pfizer is the top one, Moderna is the second one, or something, Covaxin or Covishield. No, it's nothing like that. They all have efficacy. These are all emergency approved vaccines. They are emergency approved vaccines. That means it's not 100% guaranteed that you're going to be COVID free. You can walk around without a mask. You can go do whatever after you get vaccinated. It's not 100%. It saves from getting severe infections. Like we have seen Dr. Suhail now, he's COVID positive. He gives this thing to, I mean, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and then it is the vaccine that has made him sit here and talk to us, give such a beautiful long presentation without having one breathlessness or having any issues. We have not seen. If he hadn't told, I would not have said he's positive today.
Thank you,
so,
Doctor. Anyway, that is what the interaction I had with our own family members. That's why I put these questions forward.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad. Thank you for the question. That was very nice. And this is what we should do is let's make it like I'm going to educate 4 people. Those 4 people will educate 4 people. This is how we can have herd immunity. This is how we can stop this. This is how we can live our life. Maybe in a year or so, we can start living a normal life. I have not come back home for 2 years. And I had made plans to come, and then we got attacked by this. So I do want to come home. I do want to see my family, but this is the problem. So we have a few more questions, so I'm going to stop and let's take the questions.
Yeah, Abdul Latif Bhai.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Dr. Saab, today my question is, in India, we have got 2 types of vaccines. One is AstraZeneca Covishield, and there is one Covaxin. In Covishield, where we have witnessed and got to know about the news also, the blood clot happening of the blood, people having a clot after taking the vaccination, and the people dying because of it. There was some 1 or 2 cases registered recently. So the question is, people are worried about this. We don't know who will get the clot and for whom it will be fatal. So the question is, should we go ahead taking this chance? It's a big chance.
Dr. Salim Mekri Saab, आप हैं? Dr. Salim Mekri Saab.
हाँ हूँ.
Ji, I think you are the correct person to answer this question.
My internet is very unstable, very difficult to continue. But the cases are very rare. Getting blood clot is one we have not heard regularly. We just seen in WhatsApp, and some cases have come obscurely, but not regularly. So I don't think we have to worry about that. So many medicines cause so many side effects, and so many have anaphylactic reactions, and people die taking some medicine. It's very rare. So that is not the reason not to take the vaccine. We have to go ahead with the vaccine and try to make people take the vaccine as much as possible.
Definitely, sir. It is a very rare incident that we hear about it, but it is not just a normal side effect. It is going to take your life.
Yeah, but if you don't take the vaccine, more people will die because of not taking the vaccine.
देखिए अब्दुल लतीफ साहब, यहाँ पे मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. When you're talking about the adverse reaction of the drugs, for example, you might have heard about the diclofenac. Diclofenac injection. जानते होंगे ना आप? Painkiller.
Yes.
There are incidences. People have died after taking diclofenac injection. Am I right, Dr. Khalida?
Yes, you are right. I was about to say that. Yes, you're right.
तो अब इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि भाई डाइक्लोफेनाक लेना छोड़ दें, समझे आप? तो ये एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स जो है ना, ये किस्मत की बात है. ये चंद लोगों में हो जाता है. एनाफिलैक्सिस जैसे डॉक्टर साहब ने बताया, it can happen due to any other drug, So this is something just because of very rare, 1 in a million has happened. You cannot blame the whole vaccine or the drug. This is what.
So if I'm not mistaken, they had put a hold on that vaccine in UK, and then there were studies of those remote cases where they had a blood clot, and they cleared that, saying it was not related to the vaccine. So and then they started giving the vaccine again. So I'm not sure what these cases in India are. I'm sure Dr. Mekrisab, he knows better.
So I just wanted to make a mention of this. There are, the measures what has been taken in UK and Australia regarding AstraZeneca is they want to administer only this vaccine to people who are above 60, and they do not want to give to below them, because they say they have found these cases on younger people. And in fact, 2 days back that I could read on some Australian news, they had strictly, stopped giving this to the younger generations.
Okay, again, like Dr. Mekrisab, Dr. Suhail said, the risks and benefits, you got to weigh them. what are the chances of me getting COVID? Very high right now. And then what are the chances of me getting vaccinated and going into the hospital and getting on the ventilator? Not much if you get the vaccine. And then what are the chances of getting, like any medication side effects? There are a lot of medications we can start. And diclofenac was one of them that I wanted to talk. And Dr. Suhail said, that is the thing, we still go ahead and take it because that helps. We cannot read every adverse effect of every medication and then say we cannot. Then we are going to be not having anything. We'll be dying with all kinds of diseases.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. I could understand that. And I'm also.
I was one of the patients who was affected by this diclofenac. I had a reaction you taking diclofenac.
Now, Salim Pasha has raised a hand. Salim Pasha.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Myself Zohra, I'm his daughter. So I have a question related that my father suffers from allergy relating to NSAID. So if he gets vaccinated, it will be not affected, or what will be the reaction of that? Because even a normal person who takes the vaccine gets a fever and a body pain like that. So if he gets vaccinated, what will be the reaction of that, and what will be the results?
So it'll be the same reaction as anybody else. But when you go to take, you need to mention the allergies to the professional who's giving the vaccine. You should mention what allergies you have. But I have not seen anybody with any allergies having anything else other than just body ache, fever, which is normal. It has to happen. That means your immune system is working.
Yeah, actually, even if he takes a normal tablet for fever, he gets the symptoms of allergy in his lips, like in his hands. So I am asking, if he gets vaccinated, it will be affected or not? Is it okay to get vaccinated at this situation?
Absolutely.
Because nowadays, because nowadays vaccination is very important everywhere we go.
Yes. Absolutely, he should take.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That was my question.
Thank you.
Okay. We have Dr. Zahida Rafiq. Dr. Zahida, would you like to add something? Dr. Zahida? Dr. Zahida, are you there? Okay. I think now the questions have come down, and it's getting late also here. It's Maghrib time. Dr. Zahida, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Sohail.
Yeah, please. Would you do you have to say something?
No, inshallah, it's a nice session, but I am taking a break in between because I got some important call from my cousins and some health problems. So I am not completely attending this meeting, inshallah. But it's a nice session. Starting, I have attended for some time, and finally I came into the meeting to see the highlights, what are going there. Alhamdulillah, it's a very nice discussion. I want to ask the things now, why there is so much of controversies regarding vaccination. It is not here in Saudi Arabia. Why there in India? Everybody is raising so many simple inhibitions, and this should not be like this. We with this education, it is like an health education session also. I appreciate you to conduct this thing, alhamdulillah. But the thing is, we had to motivate the people and health educate the people, alhamdulillah, to go through vaccination. I think our BENFA group is perfectly working for this, alhamdulillah. Everybody is getting so much of benefit with this health education sessions, and they are making this a little bit more effective. It will be very nice to see the results that everybody is going to get vaccination done. It is 110%, I will say. It is safe and protective. So inshallah, our BENFA family is very much concerned about this, and in every aspect we are taking all the efforts, and alhamdulillah, I appreciate you, Dr. Sohail, and all the participants in this meeting. Alhamdulillah, it's very good meeting, good session. I think we will enlighten some more points in next session, because I had some questions to raise, but now it is already time is over. Inshallah, we will discuss inshallah next session, inshallah, if it is there. Okay. Thank you for this.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for all the participants. Thank you so much.
I just want to, go back to this slide that I just 2 minutes I'll take. Okay. Can you see the slide? This slide?
It's just moving.
Yeah,
Oh,
now-
yes. Yes.
Now can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to, as I told that this today's program is dedicated to the women who have lost their husbands due to COVID. And like this, now our welfare center has started working. There are, many ladies who are affected due to this COVID. So inshallah, BENFA is going to start a project to rehabilitate the widows of COVID victim widows. So we request all of you to participate in this project so that we will support the humanity, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, next Friday we shall have a specific meeting only to discuss about this project, inshallah.
Inshallah, that's a very good idea, Dr. Sohail. Inshallah.
The need of the hours for this one, we have to take care of our responsibility.
Yes,
Inshallah.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sohail. This was very good. Appreciate all your. I mean,
Khadir Sahab to conclude this meeting with dua. And I just want to say that I request everybody to pray for Khadir Sahab, because his problem is different, not the COVID, but his son had a fall from rooftop few days back, and he's admitted in ICU now. Today only he had a surgery also. And despite that, Khadir Sahab is participating, and we really appreciate and his courage that he is with us. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah will give speedy recovery and bless good health to his son as soon as possible. I request Khadir Sahab to pray for us and conclude this meeting. Khadir Sahab.
Amin, amin. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
सबसे पहले हम अल्लाह ताला का लाख लाख शुक्र अदा करेंगे। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अल्लाह सुब्हाना ताला ने हम लोगों को कुछ हिदायत दी और हमारे भाइयों की तरफ तवज्जो देने के लिए और कौम का कुछ करने के लिए और अल्लाह को राजी करने के लिए बहुत अच्छा एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है हम लोगों को खिदमत करके लिए हम आखिरत बना लगे। जिस तरह डॉक्टर तहा मतीन भी हमें पिछले एक सेशन में कह रहे थे, और लाख लाख भाई एक सबको यहाँ पे क्योंकि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह बहुत प्रोफेशनल, बहुत ऑफिशियल हमारा बेनफा एक फैमिली इस मकसद से जुड़ी है, जो कौम की जो कम्युनिटी को जो जरूरत है कुछ करने के लिए। इंशाअल्लाह इसी सिलसिले से हम चाह रहे हैं कुछ ये करना कर बोल के इसी निस्बत से मैं कुछ कहना चाहता हूँ लोगों को। ये जो भी हम एजुकेट देखे इम्पोर्टेंट है, देखो एजुकेट करना। देखो पहले अपनी फैमिली को किस तरह से भी काफी क्वेश्चंस वगैरह आए, पहले अपने फैमिली को ये करेंगे, फिर उसके बाद में अपने मोहल्ले में। सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारे कम्युनिटी में एजुकेट करना। एक प्रैक्टिकल मैं अभी अपना ये दे रहा हूँ, एक प्रैक्टिकल एग्जाम देखिए। फर्स्ट वेव में यहाँ पे सऊदी अरब में शुरू किए थे वैक्सीनेशन का, मैं भी ऐसा ही केयरलेस था, जरूरत नहीं चलो लेंगे कर बोल के ऐसा ही था। बाद में सेकेंड वेव और काफी इंटरेक्ट होने, इसकी इम्पोर्टेंस क्या है कर बोल के जब मैं लेने के बाद अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ऑलमोस्ट 100+ लोगों तक यहाँ पे एजुकेट करके काफी वैक्सीनेशन लिए और सेकेंड डोज भी लिए। इस तरह से हमारी एक जिम्मेदारी हम निभाएंगे तो अल्लाह ताला बहुत फायदा होगा हमारे कम्युनिटी में। सबसे यही गुजारिश है, जिस तरह हमारे यूएसए के डॉक्टर भी कह रहे थे 1 4 4 to 8 8 to 16 इस तरह जाएंगे एजुकेट हो जाएगा। इम्पोर्टेंट है जो ठीक है वैक्सीन जो ये होने के बाद कोविड होने के बाद ट्रीटमेंट के लिए डॉक्टर तय कर लेंगे, बट आवर लाइफ to go for the preventive side और education side और इंशाल्लाह सॉरी डिस्टर्बेंस है। अब जो मेन मकसद हम जो जुड़े हैं हमारे कम्युनिटी के, एक हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, अल्लाह ताला हम लोगों को कुछ दिया है तो हम लोगों को उसका अल्लाह का शुक्रिया अदा करना है। जो जिस तरह से बेवाए हो गए, जिस तरह से बच्चे यतीम हो गए और अच्छे लोग ये हो गए, इन लोगों की हमारी जिम्मेदारी है और अल्लाह ताला मौका दिया है। देखिए अल्लाह सुब्हाना ताला उन लोगों को खिला देगा, करा देगा, हर चीज उनका देखभाल देख लेगा, लेकिन हम लोगों को एक बहुत बड़ा ये मौका है मिलजुल के करना है। और एक देखिए कम्युनिटी एक टीम जमने से, एक मिलजुल के एक यूनाइटेड होके ये करने से बहुत मुफीद होएगा। सबसे यही गुजारिश है अल्लाह सुब्हाना ताला से आप सब मिलजुल के काम करके कुछ हमें करेंगे इंशाअल्लाह। इसी नीयत से आप आगे चले और ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों में इस चीज को फैलाए जो नेसेसिटी है इसके करने के लिए। और सबसे मैं गुजारिश करता हूँ मेरे बच्चे के लिए सब दुआ कर रहे हैं। अल्लाह ताला सब लाख लाख शुक्र है अल्लाह सुब्हाना ताला ने ये एक इसमें खैर है, बरकत है, जो चीजें कर रहे हैं उसका अल्लाह दिया सब आप लोगों की दुआ से इतना से मदद हो के ये हो के अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ये हो रहा। बहुत शुक्रिया गुजार हूँ मैं सब हमारे फैमिली बेनफा फैमिली मेंबर के लिए, अल्लाह का लाख लाख शुक्र है। और मैं सब से यही चाहता हूँ और सब मिलजुल के काम करके ये करके जितना जो अभी जिस तरह से एम्पावरमेंट करने का सोचे हैं हमें बेवा हमारे बहनों के लिए, इस तरफ तवज्जो करके आगे बढ़ चढ़ के करेंगे काम। सबसे मैं यही अल्लाह से दुआ ये करता हूँ और मैं दुआ भी ये नहीं कर सकता, अल्लाह से दुआ करेंगे इंशाल्लाह अल्लाह ताला हम सबको ये करके इस वबा से जितना से जल्दी हो सकता है अल्लाह ही वबा से ये करके, जिस तरह से हर हम लोग बाहर के लोग हैं, हम हमारे वतन को जाने के लिए 1.5-2 साल से हम तड़प रहे हैं, हम नहीं जा सकते। अल्लाह इसको जल्द से जल्दी खत्म करके इस वबा को लेके हम हमारे फैमिलियों से मिलाने की अल्लाह हमें तौफीक दे। और सब तकलीफें जो परेशान है जो फौत हो गए अल्लाह ताला उनको मग़फ़िरत करे और उनके घरों को उनके घरों वालों को सब्र दे। और जो भी बीमार हैं अल्लाह ताला उनको आफियत के साथ सेहत दे अल्लाह सुब्हान ताला। और जो भी इस चीज़ों में काम में कोशिश कर रहे हैं अल्लाह उनको और हिम्मत दे और तंदुरुस्त दे और सेहत दे के बढ़ चढ़ के हमारे कौम की खिदमत करने के लिए लगे हैं। अल्लाह उनको आसान करे। जज़ाकल्लाहु सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व अला आलिहि जज़ाकल्लाहु खैर।
Thank you very much, one and all. With everybody's permission, I shall end this.